Good morning. It's Monday, August 10th, and you're here with Camryn and Alison for day 10 of the Lindsay Clancy trial. So let's get to it. No. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. What is it doing?
It's trying to select it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right. So can you guys hear us first and foremost? Because Bob took all the microphones, so we're sitting next to each other, but we can't tell whether
One of us picks up more on the microphone or not.
right. So we'll stand by while you guys are looking. But in the meantime, let me get the trial up, and then I'm going to tell you guys, give you a little update on where we ended. All right, everyone's saying they can hear us. Amazing. It's like because I'm sitting over here, my computer.
No, it's like the computer. Here.
Yep. And now click the live. I mean the full. There you go. All right. We're good.
So,
all right.
Our update?
Yes. So, for those of you that don't know, this is my beautiful, talented, amazing daughter, Camryn, who has just moved out of the house to start college. So, I got to change this banner because Bob doesn't need your Venmos and Cash Apps, whereas Camryn does.
It's right there.
Show.
But it's not.
No, it still says Bob.
I know. I'd have to edit it.
Oh, all right. So while we're working on that, Bob is in Massachusetts. He has arrived. He is in the lap of luxury over there. I am sure he is actually now sitting in the courthouse. So the plan is, I don't know if he went live this morning, but he's going to go live from the courthouse. He'll go live on breaks. And then after the trial day, when he gets back and we pick a time, we'll have an entire second live where he's giving us details from the courtroom. So that is the plan. So we ended with the doctor. Now I'm going to blank on her name, Tufts. And I can't check because here, wait, hold on one second. Let me just look at this. Yes, Jennifer Tufts. I don't know if she pronounced that T, so if it's like Tufts, who is being sued by both Lindsay and Patrick in separate lawsuits. Basically, what the state just finished their their direct examination of her. We're waiting for Reddington to start with his cross. You know, I felt like she was covering her ass. I mean, and maybe that is my own bias, but I felt like she was underplaying everything. I felt like she never really told us what exactly was wrong. The Commonwealth wanted to get out that Lindsay was looking for pills and wanted to do drugs, bringing up the ketamine. But that was one thing that the psychiatrist admitted she also thought was a valid. She may have raised it. It's for people who have difficulty. That prescription medication is not helping their depression. But she never really said there was anything that she felt was real severe. It's like in one breath, she'd say, well, I suggested a partial inpatient program because she was having a really hard time. But she tried to make it sound like everything was very normal, run of the mill. At least that's my perspective of it, is that they tried to make it seem like everything was normal, run of the mill. In the other witness prior to this, who is also being sued by Lindsay, the other psychiatrist, who was Dr. Goodhart, they didn't bring up the lawsuit at all. Now, this could be for strategic purposes. So I don't know, that the jury doesn't think she killed her children and is now trying to, blame the doctors. Or if there was, which is what I'm more inclined to think, some sort of pretrial motion in limine that limited it. But this kind of bias is pretty severe. You've got both Patrick and Lindsay suing her. So she is talking about how she saw no signs of psychosis, absolutely no signs of psychosis the entire time she treated her. She's also saying she made it very sort of nonchalant and like, I don't know what to say, but I'll do this with my hand about the bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
So did you see that part?
Yeah, that she was claiming that she didn't fit the criteria for bipolar, but she was basically, that's where she was covering her ass, because she was like, well, we absolutely looked into it and talked about it, but she didn't fit the criteria. But if she's diagnosed now, then you can imagine she probably did fit the criteria at the time.
Right. And her primary reason for that. So, right. She was like, we brought up bipolar disorder because for those of you that remember, when Lindsay went to the hospital, she said that her doctor had raised bipolar disorder, but Lindsay, disagreed with that. So this is why bipolar was being brought up by the prosecution. So they're like, they may have asked the direct question, but what the psychiatrist said was, I raised bipolar disorder because she was having these issues with the medication and having these side effects, but I did a full test and she did not meet, as Camryn said, she did not meet the criteria. Reasons that the psychiatrist claims Lindsay did not meet the criteria was she never had a week-long episode of what she was calling
mania.
Yeah, but she called it like euphorism, like sort of like a word on
euphoria.
Euphoric, but I think it was like euphoricism. I don't know, some sort of ism of euphoria. So, but anyway, yes, what Camryn said is right, that she didn't have a week-long session of mania. And we're going to see how Reddington addresses that, because we have heard some facts that would sound like mania. One of the things the psychiatrist said was like, it's being awake when you should be tired, sort of like, it's not like you're tired and you're awake, but it's like you haven't slept and you're really awake and you have extra
energy that you shouldn't have.
Right. You have energy you shouldn't have. What was she doing? Not sleeping, getting up with babies, doing all of this, and then exercising for like extended,
losing weight, running marathons.
Right. For extended periods of time. So that's why they also were trying to make it sound like she just was always focused on her weight and always wanted a beach body.
Right.
But that's different. That's different than someone who just had a baby, who's not sleeping, who's having all these issues, and then, like having extra bouts of energy.
You would assume that every mother postpartum would like to get to some form of how their body looked before, but you also don't see those women going to the lengths that Lindsay went to.
Right, for the time period.
Right,
so,
it wasn't healthy.
Right, so we'll just see how the defense sort of lays out the manic episode. But because of that, because of her testimony being so, I never saw signs of this, I never saw signs of that. I mean, basically, she made it sound like she said she was feeling hopeless and was worried about suicidal ideation, I can't even speak, ideation, but never really flat out expressed it. I think there was like 2 times that she said, hinted, like would kind of had to say there was some suicidal ideation. The other thing that she said, and this is where I call bullshit personally, and I don't know if I'll tell you and you see what you think about it, but the whole insight is poor, which is something that the psychiatrist documented, I think, every time. Early on, her explanation, I thought, was something like, she wasn't recognizing her symptoms, or more like the typical use of the term insight. But come the end of her cross-examination, when it's like, now she's starting to have all these issues in January, it was, well, she had poor insight then because she was blaming her symptoms on medication. And she was like having all these, she thought she had side effects from the medication that I don't think she had. Well, how come what about the first couple times when that wasn't what she was saying? You already had her insight as poor.
Right.
If that's not covering your ass.
And if she really thinks that the medication had nothing to do with it, why did they look into bipolar? Because that's basically omitting that she knew that the medication had to do with her change in symptoms, but then is going into backtracking and saying, well, she was blaming the medication for her problems, when obviously the doctor in some way was also blaming the medication for her problems.
Right. Exactly. So that's sort of where things stand. Let's see what you guys are saying this morning. We've got Jess 326 became a new member. Why don't you give her
family hugs?
And you do the click for us.
What, the next one?
Yep. And then thank you to Bypass and Beyond. She gifted 5 Defense Diary memberships. Very, very generous of you.
Thanks.
What's music to my soul have to say?
Double the alley, double the fun. Immediate request for you to please shout.
Oh, I thought it was you.
No, both.
Petitioning. Both of us.
In unison.
Okay. Petitioning activity. It's really hard to do unison, but it might be easier because we're next to each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, that's a little throwback to what's going on in Aiden Carney and Karen Reed. So thank you for your generosity, music to my soul.
Oh, now we have Sarah Moxie, who became a YouTube member. Family hugs. Thanks for that. Glad you're here.
And Cigarette Hush says, hopefully Tufts got...
Court is in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, counsel.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning, Ms. Clancy. All right. Before we begin and return to this witness, could I see counsel sidebar just briefly?
And what I was going to mention to you earlier is that I imagine that all of the state's medical witnesses are going to be used to downplay and normalize what she was going through. Because in the prosecution's opening, she said, you can have mental health issues and still be criminally liable for your crimes. So obviously what they're trying to do is say, this is a normal mental health crisis, nothing, no form of psychosis, everything's,
right.
She had so many doctors, so many ways to fix it, so that's what we've seen a lot in this trial, is minimizing women's mental health issues, basically. So
right. So just to continue on that with how Dr. Tufts was, what we're seeing is some minimizing, some rationalizing. That's why I do think, because typically you can show bias for any witness, and to exclude the fact that the witness is being sued, if that's what happened pre-trial, would be extreme. Because especially with this specific psychiatrist testimony, I've never saw signs of this. I didn't diagnose this. I never saw any reason for her to go in involuntarily for psychiatric care. I never saw any reason to think she was a danger to herself or others. Like Camryn said, nothing to see here. Everything's normal. Well, then that is very, very relevant that she has a lawsuit
Right.
that's saying she should have seen these things.
Because it's telling us for her as a doctor.
Right.
Because from what we know about Lindsay's condition and Lindsay's state, everyone around her who wasn't a medical professional knew that she needed help.
Right. And, Bob was bringing this up on Friday, like how do doctors deal with the fact that patients aren't going to reveal everything? They know that. It's like just, and I think she spoke on it like, it's the difference between when she says what the effect is, what the person's effect is that day versus what they're reporting. That she notes when there's something different because it's important to note if the psychiatrist sees something different than what the patient is reporting. They know patients underreport. That's not just like a thing that exists. So they have to take that stuff into account and, acting like everything that she says. I mean, over and over again that Tufts said, well, she was so good at telling me about all her medications. I assume she's telling the same thing to all the other doctors. She was really good at conveying things. So, I took her word for it. Things like that. So we'll have to see how that kind of comes up. And Aaron Hack says, Allie, I commented on your stream Friday, but you probably did not see it. Check out images of Commonwealth versus Jack Callahan, defended by Reddington 2 years ago. Prosecution was Shannon Buckingham. All images, no bow. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thanks for that. Because that, for those of you who don't know, that's been something I'm wondering. Has anyone ever seen this anywhere?
All right. Jurors enter.
Welcome, Michelle Frosty Fines.
Burns.
My eyes aren't so great, so.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court, now sitting in Plymouth, within and for the Commonwealth. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. But, save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, this court is now in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have the continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I hope everybody had a nice, cool weekend as best you could, and were able to kind of recharge the batteries a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you those questions, make sure everybody was able to follow my instructions, and then talk a little bit about today's schedule, and then we'll get right back into the case. So first, let me ask the questions. Has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be a fair and impartial juror? No. All right. Next, is there any other serious matter of concern bearing on your service as a juror in this case that anybody needs to bring to my attention? All right. Thank you for following those instructions. And then in regards to today's schedule, we've got a number of witnesses. I'm not quite sure how long it may go. So we may break a little bit early today, just kind of depending on the way the case comes in. And then in regards to where we are right now, we're going to, if you remember, when we broke on Friday, there was a witness at Dr. Tufts. The Commonwealth had finished their direct examination. We're now going to have that witness return to the stand, and the cross-examination by the defendant will begin. All right, and so with that, if we could recall that witness.
clerk, please.
Good morning. Do solemnly swear that the testimony you give that you should get to the court, be and jurors, and have now claimed in the Commonwealth and the Constitution. Thank you. You may have a seat.
Just watch yourself, please.
All right, good morning, Doc.
Morning.
All right. Ms. Reddington?
Thank you. Good morning, Doctor.
Morning.
Do you have your record in front of you, your notes? Or
I do.
have a record? And you can look at that anytime you want, just to refresh your memory of what's going on with you.
Thank you.
Dr. Tufts, you are presently a psychiatrist, correct?
Correct.
And can you tell me where you went to med school?
University of Vermont.
And what were the years that you were at University of Vermont?
2014 to 2018.
Beautiful country out there, great place to live, right?
It is. It's beautiful.
And when you graduated from med school, you then did your residency?
Correct.
And where was the residency?
Boston Medical Center.
And can you tell me, what is it exactly that you do as a psychiatric resident or a psychiatrist resident? What do you do?
You do a lot of different things. You rotate in all the different aspects of psychiatry, as well as internal medicine, so that you have a foundational knowledge of broad medical topics. You admit patients into the inpatient hospital. You manage emergencies in the hospital and in the emergency room, decide whether patients need to be admitted psychiatrically or not, and also carry a panel of outpatients.
And is this a hospital that you're working in, or is it Boston University? Is it a medical center?
So yes, it's the Boston University program, located at the hospital, Boston Medical Center, with also a lot of time spent at the various Boston VA locations.
And what were the years, I'm sorry, that you did your residency?
2018 to 2022.
So you basically were working as either a person studying to be a doctor, graduating, and then becoming a resident through the entire pandemic.
For the first part of the pandemic, yes.
The pandemic ended when Joe Biden said it ended. I think it was July of 2022, right?
I'm not sure exactly when he said that.
Would you agree with me that when the pandemic started, around 2019, when you began your residency, 2020, 21, into 22, it was a large push, if you will, of the pandemic timeframe?
Yes.
All right. And we all had to walk around with masks and have no contact with people and make sure you have 6-foot radius before you touch anybody, all of that, right?
Yes.
How did that impact your residency?
Well, I still went into the hospital.
So guys, just so you know, I just checked on my phone and I don't know why the closed captioning isn't working on Court TV. I'll see, Tracy, if you can hear me. If you find them on somewhere else, let me know and I'll switch. Or if anybody else finds them somewhere else, I'll switch. But I checked on my phone just to make sure it wasn't like some kind of weird thing going on with my computer. But I was thinking this, by the way, when she testified, that she was a COVID doctor, and I think it does give like people a sense of did she get the same education? Because I know Camryn didn't really learn much that year. Luckily, she is a genius, so she didn't need all the things that year in high school. But oh, sorry, Cam, hold on. Hey, pull this thing where it goes. Oh, wait. All right, I'm starting it up.
most of the time, wearing the proper protective equipment. But I absolutely still provided the necessary medical care that was needed. And some of the outpatient experiences were done via telemedicine.
Telemedicine?
Yes,
That's like a television screen. Like a Zoom or something?
it's Zoom or something similar.
Did you touch people, shake their hand, give them a hug, anything like that while you were working in your residency during the pandemic?
Sometimes, not, I think everybody had to keep their distance at certain times. I began my program before the pandemic. So of course there was a lot more handshaking and things like that then.
You can't really keep your distance though when you're working as a labor and delivery nurse with a woman who's having a baby directly in front of you, can you?
I imagine not.
So when you finished, did you graduate from a residency or is it like you get a certificate or something?
Yes, there is a certificate for completing it.
And then at that point, you are now a licensed doctor. Is that how it works?
Well, you're actually a licensed doctor the entire time that you're in residency. But upon the completion of that, you can obtain a full, unrestricted Massachusetts license and also become board certified.
And the board certification, for example, you have a board certification in general psychiatry, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when was it that you got that certification?
When was it?
Yes.
It was September 12th, 2022.
When was it that you actually started working as a physician, as a psychiatrist?
I started working as a physician and as a psychiatrist during the residency training program. But I started practicing completely independently at Astor Mental Health in August of 2022.
August of 2022.
Yes.
Now, prior to working with or at Astor, is that ASTOR? Yeah.
ASTER, like the flower.
And what is Astor? What is it, like a group of doctors? Is it a medical center? What is it?
It is a outpatient practice that is owned by a psychiatrist. It has a number of psychiatrists as well as therapists.
And where is it located? Is it a brick and mortar type place where you have offices?
Yes, the original offices were in Braintree, Massachusetts, and now there's an office in Peabody as well.
Your office, where do you work?
So at the time I saw the patient, I was working in the Braintree office. I currently work in Peabody.
Where, I'm sorry?
Currently in Peabody, Massachusetts.
So when you start working at Astor, obviously like anybody else, you submit a resume, an application.
Come on, Court TV, fix the sound.
It's a fairly lengthy process and a number of interviews with different staff at the practice, and some recommendations, letters of reference, verification of credentials, all of that. But yes, it can be comparable to another profession in that process.
Now, in August of 22, when you, congratulations, obviously you were hired by Astor, how many women had you treated in your residency that were postpartum?
With postpartum depression?
Constant.
Or just in the postpartum period?
How many women that were in the postpartum period did you treat prior to August of 22?
Many. It's hard to give an exact number, but I did have specific training in that population.
In that population. And where did you have the training in that population?
At Boston Medical Center.
And can you tell us in that 2-year period approximately how many that were in the postpartum period that you treated as a resident?
Okay, so it's really hard to give an exact number, but if I had to say, at least 50.
So in the 2-year period, you treated 50 people in the residency that had postpartum. And can you tell me, what is postpartum? What is that?
Well, I just want to address that it was a 4-year period, not a 2-year period.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
And sorry, what was your question?
Hold on. You saw 50 people in a 4-year period that had postpartum. In other words, they had them after having a baby, right?
Possibly, yeah, more or less. I saw a number of other patients. I
Of course.
saw much more than 50, but yes.
So after you had your residency and after you were hired by Astor, is that when you began in August of 22 your practice as a practicing psychiatrist?
Yes.
And when was it that you actually got your
1 year.
DEA license that authorizes you to prescribe medication to
Because it
citizens?
So during residency, I had a
Oh, 1
DEA license, but it was affiliated with the with Boston Medical Center. And then when I started at Astor, I had my own DEA number. I don't know exactly when, maybe sometime around August.
So August of 22, you started working at Astor. August of 22, you got your DEA license individually that authorized you to prescribe medication, correct?
Yes.
And it was when that you saw Lindsay Clancy
I believe our first visit was September 15th,
of,
2022.
So right after.
Right, a month after she was.
Right.
so you were practicing as a psychiatrist for a little more than a month.
I was practicing independently with my full credentials for about a month, but the training is just immense that goes on before that.
Absolutely, it must be. But that's a residency that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
And you know, in a residency, I mean, all I know is Grey's Anatomy, but I mean, working under a doctor, the doctors are supervising you and they tell you what to do and then you report to them, correct?
They don't really tell you what to do. They're there as a resource if you need additional support. But I followed many of my own patients. I was the only person in the room with them. And, my notes were signed off by an attending physician, and that attending was available for any support I needed.
So
Oh,
in August of 22, when you started working at Astor, you actually filled out a form for your advertising. Is that correct?
she was your first patient, right?
I believe that was handled by other people at the practice.
And who would that be?
Well, we have non-clinical staff that handle the administrative matters.
Okay, but you're a doctor and you're out there to the public. You're advertising yourself and your services to the public. Is that fair?
I believe yes. I'm not directing the marketing of our office, but yes.
Okay, never mind your office. I'm talking about you.
Mostly the
You had an ad that was in
graceful
on the
parent.
computer that if somebody wanted to reach out to a doctor,
On 20.
they could see your ad amongst many others, right?
Well, I don't think there was an ad. I think we have a website that had some information about myself.
Oh. Now, in August of 22, up until when you saw Lindsay, how many patients in that month or so had you treated for postpartum psychosis?
How many patients in a month up until that
Yeah,
month?
I'm asking you about when you started working in August of 22 for Astor, and you are now on your own as an employee. How many patients had you treated before you saw Lindsay Clancy for postpartum psychosis?
Well, in the span of 1 month, I would say none because it's a very rare disorder.
Okay. But it exists, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And
First
one of the
patient.
things would be the voices that people hear, right?
That is a symptom of psychosis. Absolutely.
And that's legitimate, isn't it?
It is a legitimate diagnosis.
It's
Absolutely.
not the diagnosis. People that have postpartum psychosis hear voices, do they not?
There have to.
Many do. The disorder can manifest differently in different people, but yes, many people do hear voices.
How about postpartum depression? How many people in that month or so before you met Lindsay did you treat for postpartum depression?
In the span of 1 month, it's really hard to
None.
pinpoint that. Maybe a couple.
Maybe a couple? And do you recall how long you treated them for?
A day.
Again, it's hard to really pin down the individuals in a short span of time.
Can you tell the jury what you put in your ad or in the Aster website that you indicated that described you?
I don't recall.
Well, one of the things you did is that you said that you basically were a specialist in postpartum, people that have postpartum psychiatry. You indicated that on the website, didn't you?
Are you able to read the actual document? I don't remember exactly the wording.
Well, you've been working now for how many years now? 3 since you saw Lindsay? Or more?
Almost 4, yes.
You haven't changed your ad on the website, have you?
I have not personally, no.
And you've read it probably a bunch of times, right?
I've read it a couple times, but I don't spend a lot of time on my website.
Okay. Do you recall that you indicated that you were specializing in any particular aspect
So,
of psychiatry?
yes, it probably includes a special interest in women's health, in perinatal psychiatry, in trauma-related disorders, anxiety, and there may be some other things that were mentioned.
Yeah, like women that have babies and they're suffering from postpartum depression. Right?
Absolutely.
You advertise that after a month in working for Aster, right?
That's listed as one of my interests, definitely.
And again, forgive me, how many women did you treat for postpartum depression in that month and a half before you met Lindsay?
I don't know, maybe a couple. But I've treated many of them in the residency, which was just immediately before.
So when a person needs to see a psychiatrist, generally they're not well. Is that fair?
Some are not well. It really can vary.
So when someone comes to see a psychiatrist like you, it's because they need help, right?
Yes.
And when they come to you because they need help, for example, with Lindsay Clancy, she came to you because of your ad, right? Or your website for Aster, what you said about yourself.
I don't know exactly how she found us.
Well, do you know why she came to see you?
I'm not sure exactly.
Friday, we spent a long period of time going through your the initial intake that she had to fill out. Is that correct?
All right, let's just take.
Now you don't know why Lindsay came to see you. She came to see you because you advertised yourself as someone who is interested in helping women postpartum, and she was struggling with postpartum depression and other mental health related crisis.
Right.
That's why she came to you. You can't answer that question.
She can't even answer the question. I honestly, I couldn't tell you why. Lindsay Clancy, for the life of me, no idea why she even wanted to see a psychiatrist.
Really weird there.
Yeah,
Really weird.
yeah. All right, let's.
And then she's getting all, up in arms because he's making a point to say you were only a licensed psychiatrist practicing for a month, fully having
Credentials.
being equipped with all the proper credentials. I don't think she shouldn't be upset because at the end of the day, someone with more experience could have had a different outlook on what happened. She might not have seen anyone with psychosis or bipolar at that point.
Right. And whatever she says here, she's getting fact checked in 2 separate lawsuits by 2 separate law firms. So she better have her, facts right when she said that she had at least before Lindsay Clancy done some, I can't remember, did she say many or some people with mental health issues onset postpartum? Because that's what they consider it. Like bipolar onset postpartum is us saying, well, that's postpartum bipolar.
Well, she said she saw 50 women postpartum regardless of whether it was just
During her residency. Then.
right
Right. But
over 4 years, 50 postpartum women in general.
Right. Which, by the way, I thought that Reddington gave her too much with that. She just said during the postpartum period, which does not mean their symptoms onset postpartum, as opposed to they weren't already having symptoms throughout their lives. And now they're trying to control those symptoms
While postpartum.
right while postpartum. Maybe so their medication doesn't make them too tired, or so they can breastfeed, or because of changes now that they're postpartum. So, all right.
Recall that?
Yes, we did.
And the district attorney kept asking you, and this is in September, is it September 12th? Is that when that form was filled out?
I believe she completed the form on the 12th. The appointment was on the 15th.
So what does a person do? Do they call you or do they talk to somebody in administration? How do you get the form to fill out?
Yes, our administration handles that.
And what do they do? How does that happen?
They send them the documents, probably by email, and the patient fills them out.
Thanks for
It
those
might
reasons.
be all within the portal that we use,
Within the portal?
the patient portal, yes.
Okay, and that means that you go online and you can access Ask Your Mental Health, and then all these little drop-down boxes would come up?
Something like that.
Are you aware? Is it something like that, or are you aware of what it does?
So because I don't handle the scheduling and the sending of forms, I don't know exactly what it looks like.
This is the form that you're giving a person that needs help because they're possibly mentally ill, is that right?
Yes, and what's important is that I review the forms and we go through them in the appointment. Absolutely, yes.
Now, understand that your records, Exhibit 219, I believe, the jury will have access to the Tufts records, okay? You're aware of that, right? You know it's an exhibit.
Yes.
Because you have talked to the prosecution about what an exhibit is, and you know that your records are now in evidence before this jury, right?
If that's what you say, yes.
I wouldn't take what I say.
Well, I
If
don't
you know,
really.
That's fine.
I don't know the details of how this works, but
Have you talked to them prior to your testimony?
no,
You haven't talked to the DA's office?
no, not at all.
You're a defendant in a very large lawsuit, are you not?
Yes,
You would happen to be represented by an attorney, would you?
I am.
And the fact that you have an attorney is your right under the Constitution. Doesn't mean that you're guilty of anything, right?
Right.
Okay. And you know that the outcome of this case is very, very major to the outcome of your lawsuit. Is that right? Oh.
I don't actually know that.
So you understand that if in fact it's determined that you advertised as an expert in postpartum and in postpartum psychiatry, and you've had a month experience plus a residency, would you consider that to be negligent or misrepresentation?
I do not believe that I have been negligent.
Do you understand what misrepresentation means?
Yes.
With a month under your belt plus your residency, do you really want this jury to believe that you were an expert? Can you advertise that?
I don't think that's exactly the wording that I used. I think I said that it was an interest of mine.
Give a what?
The answer.
No, go ahead. Good, answer.
I just think the wording was that it's an interest of mine. I don't believe I called myself an expert.
Are you an expert in postpartum?
I may be. I don't know. I think it depends on what you define an expert as.
Well, when a patient comes to you and they fill out the form, you agree with me that your records reflect that form that she filled out on September 12th of 2022, right?
Yes.
And the form that the district attorney went through painstakingly with you is basically, it looks something like this, right?
Real quick, I just want to say I hope he circles back to whether she had a lawyer, if that lawyer is there, and although she didn't prepare with the district attorney, which I'm shocked that the district attorney's office did not meet with her prior to testifying. And if they have, they sure as shit have to correct that going forward. They have to under the law. So, but that he goes, did you prepare with your lawyer? Is your lawyer here today? So hopefully,
If I was a juror, that just Reddington saying, is it true that the results of this trial will affect your lawsuit? That would say a lot as a juror.
yeah. And it sounds like that he's somehow prevented from saying it's this case. I don't really understand why. But I think he got the point across, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the forms that you got people fill out, right? Right?
Yes.
You see the little check mark?
Yes.
Who puts the check mark in there?
The patient.
So how many pages, because I don't want to go through all the pages yet, how many pages does the patient, or how many pages did Lindsay go through to check the boxes for acid?
There were a lot of pages.
What's a lot, 10, 20?
Yeah, maybe between 10 and 20.
Okay. And basically, they're all little checks in boxes, correct?
Not just checks.
No? So does the person then answer questions by typing in an answer such as, do you have any pending legal problems? No. Have you ever been arrested? No. Things of that nature, right?
Those are some of the questions.
And the questions also, do they ask the patient what medications they were on
Yes.
before seeing you?
Yes.
And Lindsay told you that she was on SSRIs in the past, right?
Yes.
And SSRI means what?
A selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor.
And that's pretty powerful stuff.
It's an effective treatment for depression and anxiety.
Well, it affects the serotonin levels in the brain, doesn't it?
Yes.
It rewires the brain, doesn't it?
It doesn't rewire the brain. It increases the serotonin, and many individuals with depression have low levels of serotonin.
So Lindsay told you that she had been prescribed an SSRI when she was in nursing school. Is that right?
Yes.
What was the SSRI?
Prozac.
And how long was she on the Prozac?
I'm not sure.
Never asked.
I probably asked.
Probably asked. Isn't it true? Don't you guys have a saying that it's not written, it didn't happen? You take copious notes, do you not?
It's impossible to write down every single thing that's said. So I write down what is clinically relevant, clinically necessary. But there's a lot that is discussed over an hour that is not able to be written down.
Such as the fact that a person was on an SSRI when they were in nursing school is not an important fact to find out.
Oh, no, that's important. Sorry.
And how long she's
I'm not doing, the Sophie Cunningham at you. I'm just asking a question, that's all, and you can answer it, okay? How about if she had a reaction to Prozac?
I asked her about the Prozac.
Is that written in your notes?
Yes.
And what did she say?
She said that she took it for a period of time. She didn't mention any side effects.
Oh, she didn't tell you that she had side effects. I see. So when a patient comes to see you with a month under your belt and they're sick and they're looking for help, you wait for them to volunteer facts to you?
She volunteered a lot of information. She knew very well what her medical history was and was able to provide that for me.
Such as what? That she was in nursing school and took Prozac?
That's part of it.
And she told you that, right?
Yes.
And she was pretty upfront and honest with you, wasn't she, in answering these questions, right?
I believe that she was.
We all spent some time talking about the fact that she declared that she had consumed alcohol, that she felt guilty about it. Recall that on Friday? We dwelled on that for a while, didn't we?
Yeah. Yes, that was a component. Yes.
I mean, that's something that's important.
So, and I wonder on that, make sure I don't have myself muted. If they were going to try and say that some of the side effects of the medication were because of her alcohol consumption. I don't think I heard that thus far. However, I, you know, there was parts I missed on Friday that when Bob was here and Bob was on for the whole stream. So if I missed it to date, chat, I know you're always on everything, so let me know. But I was anticipating them coming back to that because of how much time they spent on it. So we'll see. I'll bloop back 10 seconds here.
She drank alcohol, and remember, she also had a weed gummy. It's really relevant.
I know. I don't even remember when the weed gummy was, but come on.
And she felt guilty about it. You called that on Friday. We dwelled on that for a while, didn't we?
Yes, that was a component. Yes.
I mean, that's something that's important, right?
Yes.
What was her drink of choice?
I'm not sure.
Did you ever ask her?
I'm not sure. We were not concerned that her level of alcohol use
Well, the DA certainly was Friday, right?
Let her finish.
Doctor, wait for the question, all right? And then same thing, I'll have counsel wait till you finish your answer, all right? Go ahead, Ms. Reddington.
So is it important, doctor, for you as a physician to know your patient? In other words, know who they are?
Yes.
And you know that Lindsay was a nurse, correct?
Yes.
You know that she graduated.
She was about to say we weren't concerned that the amount of alcohol use was affecting her medication and the way
Right,
that
which is
it.
why Camryn and I were both like, wait, let her
finish.
finish, because somebody
She's about to
can you
help
find
you
that
out.
right there. Highlight true crime addicted's comment up one, right? Yep. Because you have, like True Crime Addicted said, I'll admit the amount of frequency of alcohol use could be a bad fact for Lindsay. So this is just sometimes you've got in your mind what you're trying to get out and what you want to hear, and then a witness hands you something, which he heard it, he processed it, but I don't think quite realized she didn't fully get the sentence out. She did to the point that we all sort of grasp
Right.
it, but the jury's in there hearing all of this quickly. Some of them are writing notes. That is a fact that you want to restate right now. So as you said a moment ago, the consumption of alcohol was not a factor that you considered to be an issue at all. Da, 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 da.
Right.
So
Graduated obviously from college, right?
Yes.
Is she a good student?
I don't recall.
Do you know when she got married?
I don't recall
Did you
that
ask her?
specific detail. I don't know. I knew she was married.
She had 3 kids, right?
Yes.
And the reason that you know that she was married is because you spoke to her husband, Patrick, correct?
He
Or did you?
Sorry.
Or did you?
He attended one of the appointments, and I spoke with him on that date.
Ah. And did you say, hi, how are you? Give him a handshake when you came in your office?
It was telemedicine.
It was what?
Telemedicine.
Telemedicine. Is it fair to say that after, 14, you said to the jury, 14 appointments that you had with Lindsay during that period from September till January? 14 appointments?
Yes.
Every single one of them were by telemedicine, weren't they?
Yes.
Until you came in this courtroom Friday, you never saw this woman in person, did you?
Correct.
Were you ever concerned about her mental health as a person?
Absolutely.
She was crying. She told you symptoms that she couldn't get out of bed. Isn't that right?
At one time, she said it was difficult to get out of bed
Oh, difficult to get out. Why was it difficult for Lindsay Clancy to get out of bed?
because she was very depressed.
And did you give her a hug? Oh, no, you're on telemedicine, so you couldn't give her a hug, could you? You didn't have any chance to even look at her in person, did you?
I could look at her. It was always a video appointment. I couldn't give her a hug, but that's not actually something that psychiatrists typically do with patients.
I imagine. Now I'm looking at you, and you've got the witness stand cutting you off in half, right? So I can't see from your waist down, your legs, your feet, your hands, anything. That's the same view that you have on the telemedicine, right?
Yes.
Isn't it fair to say that you've studied and that you've learned that there are objective manifestations that patients may have that would be a tell, like if you're playing poker, you have a tell, that would be an indicia of the fact that they're stressed or emotionally disturbed, right?
Yes.
Like hand wringing, right?
Yes.
Were you able to see the hands wringing when you were on telemedicine?
No.
I don't recall seeing her hands.
You recall, you know how people sit there and they do this with their leg and the leg bounces because they're going through some type of emotional stress? You couldn't even see her legs, could you?
I couldn't see her legs, but I knew that she was under stress.
So when she came to you, September 15th, I believe, is the first time that you all actually discussed her condition, correct?
Yes.
And looking at the medical records, which the jury will be able to look at,
This
it
is a
says visit
sound
date,
issue on Court TV.
September 15th, 2022, and you can look along with me if you wish. Indicates why she came to see you, right?
Yes.
Right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Why did she come to see you? According, not guessing and speculating, never mind the TV. You just look at your notes. Tell me what brought Lindsay Clancy to your office.
Postpartum anxiety.
Is that it? Is that what you noted in the records?
Well, those were her words when asked, what are the problems for which you are seeking help?
I see. Postpartum anxiety. Now, as a psychiatrist, meeting with this young woman after a month or so of working as a psychiatrist for Astor, there are tests that you administer to a woman who's in postpartum to find out what type of anxiety they have, right?
Well, there are some screening tests, but the most important thing is what the patient tells you and what my assessment is in the session.
I see. And that would carry through the Tufts evaluations for all 14 of those meetings, is what the patient tells you, right?
Yes, and what I observe in the session
Through the television.
through the computer.
What, if you can tell me, is the Edinburgh test?
It is a scale that looks at symptoms of postpartum depression.
And when you administer, that's a major test, isn't it, for a doctor to evaluate a patient for PPD?
I wouldn't say it's a major test.
It's a pretty big one, though, isn't it? It's the only one that measures the postpartum depression, right?
It's a common one.
So what?
Commonly used.
All right, so when you used it on Lindsay, when was that administered to her?
I did not use it on Lindsay.
Why?
We used the pH.
So that's like the best defense question. When you ask, so when you did this and the answer is no, I never
didn't do
did
it.
that. Right, right. And you saw it obviously on her face. She was already shaking her head no. And we knew it was coming because she was already saying, well, it's not a very major test.
It's not like the only test. It's just the most common one and proven to be pretty effective and probably should have been used, but
It's just the most commonly used one. I mean,
in my 1 month,
10
you know.
seconds back.
HQ9.
Why? When was that administered to her?
I did not use it on Lindsay.
Why?
We used the PHQ-9, which
What
is
the
a
PHQ-9?
It's a depression screening form.
That's like generalized anxiety disorder, general depression. It's got nothing to do with a woman suffering from postpartum depression, does it?
I disagree.
Well, do you agree that people perhaps that may know a little more than you determined that the Edinburgh scale is the appropriate scale to administer to a pregnant or postpartum woman?
To state as a form.
You're familiar with the Edinburgh scale, right?
I've heard of it.
And can you explain to me how it's graded?
No, I cannot.
There are 30 questions in it, are there not?
I don't use this scale, so I don't know how many questions there are.
So the Edinburgh scale, do you even know that the cutoff for someone that is depressed in their condition of postpartum would be 15? Anything over that, they're in severe depression.
Okay.
Do you know that her first Edinburgh test that was administered to her put her at a 23?
Objection. No rule.
Severe depression?
I was not aware of this test. I was not aware that this had been administered to her.
Well, you know that except for the Prozac that she had when she was a nurse, what, 23, 24, 23 years old, she hadn't, other than seeing her own doctor for having the baby, she hadn't seen any doctors. You knew that, right?
I didn't know exactly which doctor.
I wanted to clarify something I said. I absolutely agree that everyone in any field has to start somewhere, but also in a case like this where you think you may be in over your head, it's not a shameful thing to still refer to someone else who has more experience, you know. But I agree, you do have to start somewhere, but
She's. I didn't know exactly which doctor she sees. I think we ask about your primary care doctor, but she did not report any other medical issues that she was under treatment for.
So is it important for Dr. Jennifer Tufts to know whether or not a patient who is coming to you for help has a prior medical history other than what they might tell you?
Well, when patients are able to advocate for themselves and share their medical history, we rely on what they tell us.
Was she able to advocate for herself, in your opinion, when she came to see you, when you evaluated her in September?
Absolutely.
How about October?
Yes.
How about November?
Yes.
How about December?
Yes.
And your medical records, you would agree, show that during that period of time that she was deteriorating was a word that was used on Friday. Isn't that right?
So
No. So you used the word deteriorating on Friday, did you not?
she was a little bit worse at certain appointments, and the deteriorating word, which is not my word choice, is what is in the note because I had to select that.
Because why? You have some kind of a program that you have to check the box and you have to bring down the drop box. You can't take a pen and write something down about a patient.
There are certain parts of the note where I can write whatever I feel is necessary, but that specific aspect of the note is a button where you have to click one of three choices.
So when the jury's going through your medical records, one of the things that they're going to see is that when you meet with the patient, you have a form that you fill out where it says, if you feel like you're going to harm yourself or somebody else, make sure you.
it wasn't her word of choice because she had to choose between multiple words. But at the end of the day, she was trained to put symptoms into one of those boxes. And that's the box that she chose.
I know. And that was something from Friday that I was like, was one of my like key things of look at her downplaying, look at her rationalizing.
Right.
Before she even said deteriorated, she was like, so, and it sounds a lot worse than it is. But I chose deteriorating. It's not my word. Not my word. I was forced to pick, just like she said here, one of three words, instead of just, we all know she was deteriorating.
Right. And as a medical
on.
As a medical professional, she, from what I understand, she would have had, like, if she didn't meet the requirements in her mind as a medical professional to be considered deteriorating, or for her to check that box or choose that word, she would have chosen a lesser word, a lesser of the three options.
Right. Which, let blue back 10 seconds.
Go to the emergency patient. You have a form that you fill out where it says, if you feel like you're going to harm yourself or somebody else, make sure you go to the emergency
Doesn't like
room,
this.
right?
Yes.
If you have any urges to harm yourself or others, go to the nearest emergency room. That's in every single time that you meet with a patient, right?
Yes.
And it indicates that if there's any, call the Suicide Prevention and Crisis Hotline. If you feel that you're in crisis, you may text home to a particular number anytime. What's a suicide hotline?
It's a phone number that patients in crisis can call and speak to a trained counselor.
Now, a psychiatrist, you'd agree with me, is not a counselor, that's for sure, right?
Well, a psychiatrist has training in therapy as well as in medicine.
Did you give Lindsay Clancy any therapy?
There was some therapy incorporated in our sessions,
Like
but
what?
we did
Like
sorry, providing emotional support, listening to her.
Hold on, no, please.
Hold on, everybody. She can. You ask the question,
Just
I'm gonna let her finish, and then you can follow up with any questions you want. Go ahead.
If you guys didn't hear that, I'm going to bloop it back. What the Commonwealth said.
Emotional support, listening to her.
Hold on, no, please.
Hold on, everybody. She can. You ask the question.
I'm sorry, Judge
I'm gonna let her
Reddington.
finish, and then you can follow up with any questions you want.
Narky.
Go ahead, Doc.
Anything else you want to say?
So her sessions were largely focused on the medication management, but there was an aspect of therapy including those items.
Okay, and the sessions were for what, 17 minutes?
No.
How long were they?
25 to 30 minutes.
So 25
Now
to
went
30 minutes on the television.
25 to 30.
And will you face the TV screen with her for the full 25 minutes?
Yes.
And that's not noted in your records. It says 17 minutes in all your records, doesn't it?
So if you look closely, it says the therapy component was for 17 minutes. It doesn't say the entire duration is 17 minutes.
So what do you do when you're trying to give therapy to a psychiatrist to a patient?
25 minutes.
What do you do? What do you do for therapy?
It depends on the person.
Well, how about Lindsay Clancy? What did you do for therapy with her?
I listened to her. I listened to her concerns and provided support. I tried to provide her with hope that eventually things would improve.
So you listened to her, you listened to her concerns, and you'd agree with me that her concerns were, for example, that she actually was unable to sleep. It's one of her concerns, right?
She was having a lot of difficulty with sleep.
On the September 15th meeting, you indicate that her mood was okay, but her affect was anxious, and you called it incongruent. What does that mean?
You can tell us what it means without,
So she said she was feeling okay. She appeared anxious, and she also stated that she was anxious.
So one of the things that you talked about Friday is when a patient presents with an incongruent something like that. I don't know.
You just said congruent, so.
That would mean that they're
Right.
saying, I'm okay, but they don't look like they're okay, right?
Well, it could. I don't think her affect and her mood were really that incongruent at that time.
But
She
you marked
write that?
it.
I think that she didn't appear terribly depressed. I didn't say she was terribly depressed in that initial visit, but she said she was anxious and she appeared anxious. That's pretty congruent.
Okay.
But you marked
So
incongruent.
did you put in the report that she was congruent or incongruent?
So that is not an option for me to indicate in that section, but
So-
it was congruent.
You're like a robot. You can't take a pen and write something down. You have to do the drop box and the X's on the computer.
Well, if it's on the computer, I'm limited by the options that are up
Why?
there.
You're a doctor. Why are you limited?
All right, I just want to pause there because I'm actually literally confused. She has said through her entire direct examination, whether it was incongruent or congruent as far as her effect and what she was reporting. Now all of a sudden she's saying in that section, I can't report either one, but it was congruent. Although it seems like Reddington had already commented or indicated that at some point what she had written in whatever field relates to that was incongruent. And then she's like, yeah, but it wasn't really all that incongruent. It was actually congruent.
Right. She didn't actually answer the question of I don't even know. And the jury definitely doesn't know whether or not, like in her notes, was it her that stated that her symptoms were incongruent with what she was telling?
That's what
Tufts? We still don't
heard.
know.
I heard initially, so I went back and checked.
Well, if it's on the computer, I'm limited by the options that are up
Why?
there
You're a doctor. Why are you limited?
because of the technology.
What technology? The fact that there's a form on a computer? You're trying to treat a human being who comes to you for help.
And that's what's most important. What's most important was the treatment, not what is checked off on a box.
Makes sense. So you were unable to make a note as to whether or not her affect and her mood appeared to be in conflict and that she would have been incongruent and that she had poor insight. You couldn't write that down. Is that right? Because the box doesn't let you.
Correct.
So basically, she's telling you that I'm okay. Well, actually, when she came, do you know that she never saw, other than when she was in nursing school, would it surprise you, a psychiatrist? And that was only for like a week when she got the Prozac in nursing school because she was afraid of public speaking. Did you know that?
I was aware that she did not have a significant past psychiatric history. I was aware of that.
Okay, so you were the first psychiatrist and she had the pleasure.
I was muted the whole time. Sorry. But what I was saying is that you have to take into fact that when Lindsay's telling her psychiatrist, I unmuted it. When Lindsay's telling her psychiatrist that she's okay, because as Tuff said a little bit ago, she said she was okay that session, that's relative to Lindsay. You know, she's relatively okay because that session, she's not in the midst of a breakdown or the midst of an episode. So you can't make it seem as if, she's just perfectly fine and she's okay, but it's relative to how she was normally feeling in her other sessions.
Not me. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think it was.
And isn't that important for you as a doctor to take a history?
I did take a history.
So can you tell us? You're testifying here for the government. Tell us whether or not she had any past psychiatric history other than in nursing school for a week for the Prozac.
She did not report any other past psychiatric history other than the Prozac and Wellbutrin.
So when a patient comes to see you and you're treating to help that patient, if they don't report something to you, you don't know about it apparently, right?
Well, I think it depends. There are certainly things I can assess, but if it's related to their history, I do need them to tell me.
Well, you can't assess it unless you ask, right?
Unless I ask or they volunteer it or they
Of
fill
course,
it
we
out in
already talked
forms.
about the volunteering. How about you as a doctor, when you're evaluating a patient coming to you for help, do you ask them questions?
Yes,
You didn't ask her prior history.
I did.
What did she tell you?
She said that her prior history was what we discussed about the Prozac in the nursing school.
So, basically, other than hoping to give her hope, is what you said, for the therapy. How do you give someone hope for therapy? The other doctor.
Try to encourage them and.
What did you encourage her on September 15th?
Sorry?
What did you encourage her to give her hope on September 15th?
What did I encourage her?
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the words. It was
Did you write
almost
it
4
down in
years
your
ago.
records?
No, we don't write those, details of
Well, that's
everything
the
that was
therapy
said.
you're talking about, right? Yes?
Yes.
And you don't write down the therapy you give the patient in the records, right?
Well, I write something about it.
You write it
I
down,
mentioned
not
that.
excuse me.
Hold on.
So yes or no?
Hold on, you gotta let her finish the question. If you listen to the question and answer just what they asked, okay? Go ahead. You can rephrase that question, Councilman.
No, there it is.
I mentioned that I provided supportive therapy.
What is supportive therapy?
It's listening to the patient's concerns and providing emotional support and validation.
So emotional support and validation all sounds good. Here's a young woman who was what, 20, 29, 30 years old, came to see you?
Yes.
And came to see you for help, right?
Yes.
Told you she couldn't sleep and she was anxious, correct?
Yes.
You know that she was postpartum, correct?
Yes.
You know that as a patient who was postpartum. By the way, what is your opinion of the period of postpartum wherein one could have postpartum depression and, more importantly, postpartum psychosis? What's the time frame?
It's typically 1 year.
So she was well within that time frame, correct?
Yes.
And you tried to provide therapy by giving her hope. And how long do you figure did that take? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes?
I'm not sure. I think it was different in each session.
Okay. So the only thing that you diagnosed Lindsay with on September 15th was GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, correct?
It was generalized anxiety disorder as well as an adjustment disorder with depressed mood.
And you prescribed medications to her, right?
Yes.
And the medication that you provided to her was the sertraline, right?
Yes.
And the sertraline would be Zoloft, right?
Yes.
Now, this is a little chart that shows the prescriptions that Lindsay was on. And you are the yellow colors. They're the tops. Okay? You can see that. Would you agree with me that on September 15th, you prescribed sertraline, Zoloft, 30 count on September 15th, 25 milligrams, right?
Yes.
Have you ever read the website for sertraline?
The website for sertraline?
Yeah. I mean, sertraline, Zoloft is a chemical that is marketed as a pharmaceutical, right?
Yes.
Right? It's a pill, right?
Yes.
And as we said, it's an SSRI pill, correct?
Yes.
Do you know that Zoloft is not indicated for generalized anxiety? Why'd you give her Zoloft?
It is a very effective medication for generalized anxiety disorder.
So you're familiar with the drug labeling for Zoloft, is that correct?
Generally.
Generally. Are you aware of what the manufacturer of Zoloft indicates it can be used for, to treat.
I'm aware that it's used to treat various forms of anxiety disorders as well as major depression.
So when Lindsay came to see you, you know that she had stopped breastfeeding her son, right?
Not at the time of the first appointment,
When did she stop breastfeeding? In October?
something around then.
You know that she had little or no psychiatric history other than seeing you, correct?
And the Prozac, yes.
You know that, in fact, that she had stopped drinking whatever it was that she was drinking, because you never asked, right?
I was not concerned about her level of drinking.
Well, it's in your form, right?
That was at the intake, but
Did you know that she wasn't drinking when you were meeting with her, correct?
yeah, that's what she told me.
Okay, and you believe what she told you, right?
Yes.
So when she sees you, she's not on any psychiatric antitropics or whatever they're called, medications, correct? She wasn't on any medication.
Correct.
And she had stopped drinking anything, whatever it may have been, right?
I'm not sure when she completely stopped drinking, but yes.
You don't know when she started, when she stopped, what she drank, do you?
Well, I was not concerned that she was an alcoholic.
That's a yes or no. Did you have any idea? Because we spent a long time on Friday talking about her guilt and having that she drank alcohol. You don't know what she drank, when she started, when she stopped, do you?
I know some details about her alcohol use, but it was overall minimal.
What were the details then? Tell me what the details were. There was that one little box that was checked off. What are the details with it?
That she drank 1 to 2 times a week, 1 to 2 servings 5 times a week.
And you don't know what it was. You have no idea, right?
I think she had mentioned at some point that it was calming. It was something that was
what?
helpful.
I'm sorry.
Calming.
Calming. Okay,
Calming.
so it was numbing. It was like trying to numb something, I guess, right?
That's one way of saying it.
I mean, I imagine you've treated veterans that had post-traumatic stress disorder, right?
Yes.
And would you agree with me that many times when people have an anxiety disorder or PTSD, whatever the case may be, they try to numb their feelings? Is that fair?
Sometimes they do.
And sometimes they use alcohol, right?
Sometimes they do.
But we don't know what alcohol she wouldn't even know if it was a beer, do we?
I didn't think that was relevant for her.
So, with all of that, with that information, you then prescribed Zoloft to her, correct?
Yes.
You went over the side effects of Zoloft, certainly, and I imagine with her, right?
Yes.
Did you tell her that one of the known side effects is suicidal thoughts and actions and ideation?
Well, that's specifically in children, so I don't think I mentioned that because it wasn't relevant.
Not really. Suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation is a black box warning on Zoloft, along with other SSRIs, right?
Under
Yes
age,
or no?
for children and adults younger than Lindsay.
I apologize. Can you just listen to my question and answer it yes or no? Is there a black box warning on Zoloft?
Yes.
All right. And a black box warning is required or prescribed by what? The FDA?
Probably.
Probably. And it basically warns that, especially with young people or young adults, that it may cause suicidal or, God forbid, homicidal ideation. Yes?
Yes.
And you're aware that, in fact, the FDA has determined that that goes up possibly to a 23, 24, 25-year-old. You know that, right?
I think 24 is what they
Yeah,
said.
I'll give you 24. It's possible, is it not, that the SSRIs that get into a person's brain, affect a person that's 3 or 4 years older than the FDA cutoff with suicidal ideation or homicidal ideation? It's possible?
There's a lot of development that happens in the brain between ages like up to 24 and closer to 30. The brain is fully matured at past age 24, and so it's less vulnerable than in a younger individual.
So with 24, you're suggesting as a cutoff, are you suggesting to the jury that a drug that increases the risk of suicide in a 24-year-old patient cannot increase the risk of suicide in a 29 or a 30-year-old patient? Just a little bit.
I don't believe there's evidence that it causes that at all in individuals over 24.
So, as a psychiatrist who had the ability to issue these types of medications to patients and citizens, what research did you do on Zoloft and suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation?
I was taught extensively about SSRIs and suicidal ideation in my training.
Right?
In Vermont, in Boston, yes.
Okay, so in Vermont was when you get your medical degree, right?
Yes,
And in Boston would be when you were a resident, right?
yes,
And then you had board certification on general psychiatry, right?
yes.
You can have a certification on the subspecialty, right?
There are certain subspecialties, yes.
Right, and some of the subspecialties deal with postpartum or women that are pregnant and have babies and have psychiatric symptomology.
There's no board certification for perinatal or reproductive psychiatry.
Well, there are plenty of classes that are recognized as, for example, at Harvard Medical School, there's an annual class or symposium, if you will, for postpartum. Have you ever been to that?
No, sir.
What have you done to research or to improve your education? I understand you went to med school and you were a resident. What programs, continuing education, symposiums have you attended since you got the ability to prescribe these medicines to people?
I have not attended a symposium.
Have you attended anything?
I have not, but I have done a lot of reading on my own, of research and guidelines about this area in psychiatry.
Did you tell Lindsay when you were going, this is one of the things that you guys are always concerned about is what's called informed consent, right?
Yes.
And what is informed consent? What does that mean?
It
In
means
a medical sense, not just like out in the street or something.
explaining to a patient the risks and benefits of treatment and possible alternatives, and making sure that the patient understands what you're saying.
Now, when you were going over the symptomology or when you were going over the side effects of Zoloft, one of the side effects of Zoloft is, and I quote, severe trouble sleeping, right?
Yes.
Did you tell her that?
Well, insomnia is listed as a side effect.
No. You already said yes, you know it. Did you tell her that Zoloft has a side effect of giving the patient severe trouble sleeping? That's all.
So I didn't use the word severe because it typically doesn't cause severe trouble sleeping, but I thought you were referring to when she told me that she did have severe trouble sleeping,
Well,
and that was
that's
true.
what you told her, right? That she had severe trouble sleeping, right?
She told me, yes.
And you know that one of the side effects of Zoloft is, let's say, trouble sleeping. You know that, right?
Yes.
Your answer is yes. The jury has to be able to hear you.
Yes.
And why would you prescribe Zoloft to a young woman who's postpartum, who's coming to you with anxiety, who's telling you she can't sleep, she's got all of these symptoms, and you prescribe a medication that would have a side effect of trouble sleeping?
So individuals have very varied responses to medications. Some have no side effects, some have one or two. It's impossible to predict, but Zoloft is a top choice, a first-line medication for
Says
her.
who?
It was
Says who?
says it's the general consensus
Well, what
among
about the
psychiatrists.
lawsuits
Hold on,
Right.
again, you can't have both of you talking at the same time. So let her finish her answer, and then I'll give you plenty of time to follow up any questions regarding her answer. So, you finish your answer on that?
There's extensive research supporting the use of sertraline in this instance, and the general consensus among psychiatrists is that it's a first-line safe medication for individuals, including postpartum women.
How about the kids that shoot other kids in high schools and the lawsuits that come out of that against Zoloft? You ever read about them?
Overruled.
Sorry,
You didn't hear me?
I wasn't sure what the question was.
Question was, in response to your observation about how all the psychiatrists think it's a very, very safe, wonderful first-line drug, and you researched it. How about the kids that kill other kids in schools with the lawsuits that arise out of the use of SSRIs? Have you ever researched that?
I don't know much about that.
You know about the SSRIs and messing with someone's brain, they go out and they shoot people for no reason, right?
I'm not aware that that's linked to SSRIs.
So you didn't really talk to her about increased risk of suicide. The 24-year-olds are down because she's 4 or 5 years older than that. You didn't talk to her about the trouble sleeping that can be a side effect. But you described there's other drugs that you could have given her that would be perfectly safe and calming and allow someone with no psychiatric history to sleep better, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so you prescribed her with the Zoloft. It was 25 milligrams, right?
Yes.
And when you prescribed her with the Zoloft, 25 milligrams, was that increased up to 0.05 milligrams, or did you increase it at some point?
The instructions were to increase it to 50 after 1 week.
After 1 week.
Yes.
And you expected that she would listen to your instructions, right?
Yes.
And she did, right?
She waited about a month, but then yes, she did.
Why did she wait a month?
I think it took her some time to decide whether that was truly what she wanted to do.
Right, she was afraid of the drugs, wasn't she?
She was afraid of side effects.
And she didn't want to take the pills, did she?
She eventually did want to take the pills because she wanted to feel better.
A month later, right?
Yes.
So you prescribe the Zoloft, SSRI, and then you tell her after a week to increase it, and she doesn't take that medication for a month, correct?
Correct.
And then she did take the medication, right?
Yes.
And did you meet with her or talk to her before she actually started to implement that particular regimen?
I had met with her beforehand, but I was not aware of when she made the decision to go ahead and take it.
So you met her on the 15th of September, right?
Yes.
When was the next time you met her?
Can I check?
Sure, of course, absolutely. You can look at anything you want.
September 28th.
And on September 28th, did you discuss with her the fact that she was afraid to take the Zoloft?
Yes.
And did you recommend that she do that?
Well, she said that she was feeling better at that point and wasn't
It's a
sure.
real easy question. When you
Sorry?
talked with her, did you recommend that she increase or take the Zoloft?
At that visit, I don't think that I did.
Okay, so when did she actually take the Zoloft?
She told me in her October 20th visit that she had taken it 1 week prior.
And she told you that when she increased it in accordance with your instructions, she went off the rails, right?
I don't think she used those words, but she had
What words did
side
she use
effects.
for you as her doctor?
She felt awful.
Awful. Why did she feel awful? Did she have a stomach ache? Did she have a headache? Why did she feel awful?
She did have some stomach aches. She had some diarrhea and had a difficult time eating. She also had increased anxiety. She had some more depressed feelings. She had more difficulty sleeping.
And what was your advice to her as her doctor on the 28th of October, after she told you about the effect the Zoloft had on her?
I told her to stop it, stop the medication.
Okay. Now, Zoloft being an SSRI, and a patient that is taking the Zoloft from 0.05, we spent Friday afternoon going over the drugs, and 0.05 milligrams is the lowest dose, and all that. That's the dose that is prescribed to people invariably, correct?
It goes up to 200, but that is a starting dose.
For pretty much all of you psychiatrists would agree with that, right? 0.05, right?
50.
50, okay. And you then told her to stop.
Yes.
What does it mean to titrate something?
To slowly increase the amount.
What do you tell patients when they're on an SSRI as to weaning them off the SSRIs?
Depends what the dose is. If it's a high dose, you need to slowly decrease the dose, so kind of the opposite of titration. But if it's a low dose to begin with, you can stop it.
Are you supposed to tell a person that's on an SSRI to stop immediately or to slowly withdraw from it?
At 50 milligrams, it is perfectly fine to stop it immediately.
So you didn't have any concerns at all about telling her to immediately stop taking the Zoloft? And what did you do, put her on another drug?
Not immediately.
Okay. So did she relate to you on that October 28th meeting that you had? Was it the 28th or the 26th?
I met with her the 21st and then the 26th.
Okay. Now, on the 26th of October, what did she tell you her condition was?
So she was feeling back to how she was before the Zoloft, which is not great still, and that she was considering a new medication.
So she was considering it. Did she do research on medication as to what medication she wanted to take? Is that what you're telling this jury?
She didn't specify exactly what medication she wanted to take, but that she wanted to try something else because she was still having significant anxiety.
So when you say she wanted to try something else, I'm just asking, did you tell her what you recommended she try, or is that something that she decided she'd do on her own?
No, I gave her my recommendation.
Okay. The only reason why I ask that is that, a lot of times people might think that she's a psychopharmacologist, that she's a heart surgeon, that she's a vascular surgeon, that she knows everything about medicine. That's not true, is it?
No.
Would you agree with me that prior to telling her to stop the Zoloft, that one of the concerns that you had is that Zoloft affects anxiety and affects sleep, and you hope that it treats the underlying anxiety by balancing brain chemistry and increasing serotonin, right?
Yes.
Is that fair? And you'd agree with me that it does, as a side effect, have an impact on a person's falling asleep or staying asleep. That's a common side effect, right?
It can happen. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it certainly happens to some. But it is temporary. That's the important distinction. Is that there are many side effects that disappear entirely, and then the medicine is quite helpful for those certain conditions.
So
Yes.
she had problems sleeping, didn't she?
Yes.
Even after the Zoloft, right?
Yes.
So you, not her, you recommended a particular drug that she should take, right?
Yes.
And And again, as it relates to what one would expect, a young woman who's a labor and delivery nurse to know about psychiatric medication. What is methazine? Do you know?
I'm sorry?
Methazine.
I'm not sure.
How about hermababate? B-A-T-E. Hermabate. How about that? You ever heard of that?
I'm not familiar with that.
That's what's used to administer to a woman who's going through birth. You don't have an obligation to know that, do you?
No.
You have an obligation to know about psychiatric medications, though, right?
Yes.
There's a difference between what's known as nescience, which is not knowing what you have no duty to know, and ignorance, which is you don't know what you should know. Is that fair?
Yes.
So, did you ever gauge Lindsay's knowledge or ability to judge what medication would be good for her?
So that was my role.
Right.
I didn't expect her to know significantly the details about different psychiatric medications.
Is it important to know that a woman that's coming to you because of postpartum issues, shall we say, had prior problems in prior deliveries?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me that you're on the front line of healthcare for pregnant women when someone comes to see you, either pregnant or after having a baby, right?
They're usually referred by a therapist or an OB, but yes.
Okay. So being on the front line and dealing with these people, and you advertise that you deal with pregnant people before they have babies, right?
Yes.
And after, correct?
Yes.
Did she have any prior issues with her prior babies?
I knew that she had some anxiety symptoms with her prior, after her second child was born.
And that would be Dawson?
Yes.
And when she saw you after having Callan, how old was Dawson, if you know?
A few years old, maybe 2 or 3.
Did she tell you what the side effects were after she had Dawson?
She did. I did not list them because.
Excuse me, that means you didn't write it down?
Yes.
So what is it, memory? We'll go by that, right?
Sorry?
We'll go by your memory?
Go by memory about what? I don't recall exactly which side effects she said, but I recall that they were some of the very common ones, the ones that are temporary.
Hold on. You're telling this jury that you don't recall what the side effects were that she told you, but your memory is that they were general, common? Is that what you said?
Yes, because if they were anything else, I would have documented it.
Well, how about she took Zoloft? Did she take Zoloft, SSRI, after having Dawson?
I think she took it for about a week.
You think? Or she did?
She did.
So isn't that something that would be indicative of the fact that there was some psychiatric issues after she had her second child?
Yes, but she did not describe them as being severe.
Well, as a psychiatrist, can you ask her whether or not they're severe, or you just wait for them to tell you?
Based on her description, they did not sound severe.
Tell me about bipolar. What's bipolar?
Bipolar is a mood disorder that has both depressive episodes as well as episodes of mania.
And is it your understanding that if a person has a difficult birth and in fact has some psychiatric attributes as a result of that difficult birth, that you should not prescribe SSRIs to that person because they could be bipolar?
Having a difficult birth does not, it's not a contraindication to an SSRI.
So after she had her second child, she took Zoloft, and you did not detail any side effects, and you don't remember any side effects. Do you agree that Lindsay had, at this point, a history of mental problems during postpartum?
She had a history of anxiety postpartum.
Anxiety to the point that she was prescribed an SSRI?
Yes.
And she also had mental problems when she came to see you, right?
Yes.
So she had mental problems after she had the second child, mental problems after she had the third child, correct?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me that this is not easy stuff for somebody to be talking about. People get embarrassed in our society if they had mental problems, don't they?
Some do.
She did, didn't she?
I'm not sure.
So, not documenting any of the side effects, did you think it would be important to document the side effects of the drug before you prescribed Zoloft a second time? She's telling you that she had. You don't know, but she had side effects with Zoloft. Was it important for you to document the second time that you're giving her Zoloft?
I did not feel that it was necessary to document the specific side effects.
So if someone comes to you as a person who is in postpartum and is all the symptomology that she had related to you, that if she told you that she was on Zoloft after her second child and had side effects, you don't think it's important to document the side effects, number one, right?
It depends what the side effects are.
Which we don't know because you didn't write them down, you don't remember it.
I would have written them down if
No,
they
not
were.
what you would have done, what did you do?
No, go ahead.
I would have written them down if
What did you do?
I wrote that she had side effects.
What are they?
I'm not sure.
Thank you.
And then you prescribed Zoloft again, didn't you, in 2022?
Yes.
Do you recall, in the period of September of 22, October of 22, into November of 22, that she used the word overwhelmed, told you that she was overwhelmed? Is that correct?
Sorry, which visit are we looking at?
Well, the period of time, September, October, November, she used the terminology that she was overwhelmed.
Yes.
Okay. And when you were treating her, you didn't think that she was just merely overwhelmed with 3 children. You knew she was really struggling, didn't you?
I did.
And it was at that point that you just diagnosed her with a psychiatric condition. And you prescribed psychiatric meds. Isn't that right?
I prescribed psychiatric medications. Yes.
So when you prescribed the Zoloft and told her to increase it, she told you that she was having all these difficulties. You told her to stop. Did you give her therapy when you saw her?
Yes.
What did you do?
I think that I
No,
provided
again, I
reassurance.
apologize, but not what you think. I want to know what you did. And that's why you write stuff down. So take your time and look at your notes. What did you do with this young woman for therapy?
On which day?
On what?
Which day are we talking about
When
specifically?
she came to you and told you that she was overwhelmed, and you diagnosed her with a mental illness and prescribed psychiatric condition for psychiatric meds, what therapy did you give her? Because you told us that when you're on the television, you still give them therapy too, right?
I do.
What did you do?
Well, I'm having trouble identifying exactly when she said the words overwhelmed. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly what I said in a span of, a number of different visits.
Did you indicate that there's information on the website that if a person has an emergency that they should do something?
I did, and I advised her the same.
So basically, if one of your patients becomes suicidal, and on that note, did she tell you at that point, up to November of 22, that she was dwelling on suicidal thoughts?
It was a while before she mentioned anything about suicidal thoughts.
Tell us when.
I might need to look through the records
right
to see
ahead.
when she first did.
I think it was December. January 6th. She's got her. I really hope that she's almost.
December 1st.
So on December 1st, what did she tell you?
That she denied feeling suicidal, but that she was close to feeling suicidal.
It's kind of like being a fisherman out in the ocean who's worried about the possibility of a storm and is thinking about the storm and is dwelling on the storm, almost in fear of the storm, right?
Objection.
No.
Isn't it?
I guess.
So when she tells you that she's, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, what did she say? She's having suicidal thoughts, or what did she say? All close to it?
She denied having suicidal thoughts, but felt that she was getting close to it.
Okay. So she was dwelling on it or thinking about it, right? Is that fair?
She was fearful of eventually having those kinds of thoughts.
To kill herself.
Yes.
And how frequently were the thoughts?
I'm not sure exactly how frequent they were.
Did you ask her?
It's
Sorry?
very likely that I did ask her the frequency.
Would that be in your medical records? When you see some patients, you have some patients other than Lindsay Clancy at that point, right?
Yes.
And you document when a patient, my God, when a patient comes in and tells you that she's in postpartum distress and she's close to having suicide thoughts to kill herself, that's important, isn't it?
It's important that I am aware that she's having these thoughts,
What thoughts?
that she is fearful she could become suicidal.
And she told you, I imagine, or you asked, how frequently these thoughts were.
I don't have it documented how frequently.
Wouldn't stating that you're fearful that you are close to suicide be suicidal thoughts? That means you're actively thinking about suicide and that you're scared of that fact.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think as a medical professional, she should be able to say her being fearful of suicide and killing herself would mean that she was having suicidal thoughts at that time.
I thought that that's what constitutes suicidal ideation, and that having the plan makes them more
suicidal.
active or right.
Right.
But even thinking about it,
Is suicidal thoughts.
right.
They were, but that is a question that I usually ask when we're talking about suicidal
So when we're
thoughts.
usually testifying in a murder case, we usually have facts that we can tell the jury, not speculation.
Objection.
Yeah. Sustained.
That was argumentative.
Did she tell you, or did you ask about suicidal thoughts?
Yes.
What did she tell you? If you don't know, tell us.
No, I know, sorry. But it's what I said before, that she denied having them, and she wasn't having them. We were meeting, but she felt close to it, close to having those thoughts.
How do you feel close to having a thought?
So would you agree with me that many times patients, especially psychiatric patients, may minimize their symptomology?
Patients sometimes do.
And sometimes when a woman has just had a child and has other little kids at home, they feel worried about the government taking kids away from them, because you're a mandated reporter, aren't you? You're a mandated reporter, aren't you?
I am.
And if she told you, I'm having suicidal thoughts and close to it, and homicidal, you'd report that, wouldn't you?
Not necessarily. I think it really depends on the context, but having suicidal thoughts alone is not a reportable condition.
All right, so basically, we know that she was close to having suicidal thoughts to kill herself, whatever that means. We don't know how frequently she was having them. Yeah?
Today, I don't know how frequently, but at that point, I believe I did know how frequently they were.
Oh, okay. So as a result of that, you then gave her therapy, I imagine, right? Through the television.
Yes,
And what therapy
Through
did
the
you give her
television.
in November of 22?
I gave her supportive psychotherapy.
And what does that mean? It
Oh,
sounds great.
God.
What do you do?
It's listening to the patient and providing.
Sorry. Listening to the patient, like when they say they're having,
Hold on. Good. Sustain. Next question.
so,
She could finish the answer.
Right. Next question.
thank you, Doc. Listening to the patient, that would be when, for example, one of your patients tells you, after all the treatment that you had provided prior to that, all the symptomology that she had, insomnia, anxiety, all of that she's close to having suicidal thoughts. That would, I imagine, impact on you.
Yes.
So what did you do with this psychotherapy?
So I provided emotional support and validation
What
and
does that mean? Validation?
encouragement.
What does that mean?
Something like, I understand this is a very difficult time. It really, it varies on the individual.
Sure. How about
He's not even sure. Like, I said something.
I don't remember the exact therapeutic words that I used.
Okay. How long did you give the therapy? Validation and all that stuff?
I don't remember exactly the duration.
Maybe about 10 minutes?
Minutes.
Maybe
Through the television, right?
Computer.
through the computer.
As we pointed out, you tell the people.
You guys in chat, do any of you remember what day Patrick Clancy testified that Lindsay had told him about not just suicidal thoughts, but more so intrusive thoughts about hurting herself and the children?
But I can give you a date right here. Let's see. Stand by.
Well, we can look.
Yeah, we'll look.
We'll
let you know.
They come to see you, when I say you, I mean collectively Astor Medical, that you would expect that if a person is in crisis, as you guys say, or is suicidal, that they would have to go to a computer or their cell phone, right? They would have to punch in your office, right? Look up the number.
We advise them to call 911 or go to the emergency room as quickly as possible.
How about suicide hotlines? Do you give them advice to call them?
That's an option as well. Yes.
Sure. Did she call suicide hotlines?
I was not aware that she did.
Did you ever ask her?
I don't think I specifically asked that
How about
question.
not specifically? Did you ask her anything? Did you beat around the bush maybe? You ask her anything about suicide hotlines?
I don't think I asked her about suicide hotlines.
Would it surprise you to know that she called suicide hotline in that time frame, not once, but twice, and was turned away? You guys were in the front line of this, aren't you?
No.
It does surprise me. Yes.
It does what?
It surprises me that she called them twice.
And you never asked her if she had ever called the suicide hotline, did you?
I don't think that I did.
Well, I understand. You
never asked her.
You were trying to do the right thing. You obviously, this is just horrible, isn't it?
Yes.
She continued on with her treatment with you, correct?
Yes.
And it looks like it was from from Lindsay's civil suit around December of 2022 that she told her husband, and her mother.
Right. So this is a 2-week span between apparently being close to having suicidal thoughts, jumping to 15 days later, fully having intrusive thoughts of killing yourself and the children. So that's pretty drastic, in which you can say that it probably was full-on suicidal thoughts by December 1st, if she's already having intrusive thoughts, including herself and the children, 14 days later.
And, starting in November 29 of 2022, so maybe the first week of December, so that's when she was here with this doctor, was December 1st, was where she said she was thinking about it. That's when Lindsay says her condition took a dramatic turn for the worse. She developed suicidal ideation and began experiencing what she described as intrusive thoughts, which were actually auditory hallucinations. The voice said, "I will not be the same. I want to die."
Which is a suicidal thought.
Right.
What was the next medication that you put her on? Let's say we're up to, I guess would be the October 26th date. Is that right?
October 26th.
Is that when you prescribed Ativan?
She saw
I
Dr.
prescribed it on the 21st.
Sorry?
Day before
I prescribed
the
the Ativan on the 21st.
All right. Did you prescribe anything on the October 26th appointment?
Yes,
And what was that?
buspirone.
Buspirone. And would you agree with me that, is that also Vanspar?
Buspar or buspirone are the common names for it.
Okay. You ever heard of Vanspar? V-A-N, V as in Victor, A-N-S-P-A-R? You ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Okay. And would you agree with me that there are a number of side effects of buspirone?
Every medication has side effects, but
Okay, so my question is pretty simple. Buspirone, you mentioned it. I'm asking, any side effects?
yes,
What are the side effects?
they could be tiredness or dizziness, or rarely some upset stomach. But it's generally a very, very well tolerated mild medicine.
And do you recall, was she taking any other medication at that point, if you know?
Yeah, she was taking some of the Ativan.
Some Ativan, right? Did you prescribe that to her?
Yes,
When did you prescribe the Ativan to her?
the 21st.
And she was compliant with your recommendations, right?
Yes.
Was she also reporting to you that she was taking Benadryl, like over-the-counter stuff?
It was being used as needed. Yes.
So that's PRN on the records, PRN or whatever, you take it as required, right?
Yes.
And she reported to you that she was taking Benadryl, right?
She reported that. Yes.
And you didn't document how much she was taking, right?
It's only available as one dose over the counter.
Okay. Did she re-up the dose over the counter? Do you know?
She didn't tell me that she did.
Did you ask her?
I don't remember asking her about if she increased it. I think she was just taking one of them.
You think? Did you know that Ativan and Benadryl are contraindicated, that they can have a serious impact to the central nervous system and depressant effects?
Yes, but can I explain that when they say depressant?
Excuse me. The answer is yes, right? Is the answer yes?
Yeah, if the answer is yes, if that's the question, the Commonwealth may be able to ask you further questions if you'd
Okay.
like.
Well, I can't say yes to that entire statement.
All right. Next
Did
question.
you discuss anything about Benadryl combined with Ativan on October 26th?
I don't recall.
On October 26th, was she still worried about suicidal thoughts?
She denied that.
And on October 26th, how did she deny that? Is that, you have that noted in your record?
I do.
And what does it say?
Patient denies suicidal ideation.
Okay. So there's a huge difference between suicidal ideation and somebody having thoughts of suicide or being close to it, right?
Not exactly.
Well, you knew that the last time you spoke to the woman, she told you that she was close to having thoughts of killing herself, right?
Yes.
She just contradicted herself because she just said there's not a big difference between suicidal ideation and what she described Lindsay to be doing, when she had just said a couple minutes ago that that wasn't the case. So I'm confused there.
And you're her doctor, right?
Yes.
So what do? You just say, do you have, and check the box and say, do you have any suicidal ideation? And she says no, and you check the box?
No, it's not that simple.
Do you ask her, like, well, gee, the last time I spoke to you, you told me that you were close to having suicidal thoughts of killing yourself. Did you pursue that on the 26th of October?
Yes.
And what did she say?
That she wasn't.
Now, how long was that appointment, if you recall? Would you agree it was 17 minutes and then there was some therapy?
The entire appointment was something between 25 and 30 minutes.
And that was again through the television, right?
The computer, yes.
Computer. Did you also add a drug called hydroxyzine?
Yes.
When was that?
So that was the same visit as an alternative to the Benadryl.
Okay, so on October 26th, when she told you that she was taking over-the-counter Benadryl, I asked you what you prescribed to her, and you said Ativan, right? Right?
Yes.
And then I asked you about the contraindication of Ativan and Benadryl, right?
You asked me about that, yes.
And then you, on October 26th, started her on Buspar, correct?
Yes.
And what is the purpose of Buspar? Is that for anxiety?
Yes.
And what kind of drug is Buspar?
It doesn't really fall into a class, but it does act on serotonin.
So it's another, similar to an SSRI, right?
It's kind of like a more mild version of an SSRI.
Okay. So she's on Benadryl over the counter, Ativan, which is a benzodiazepine, Buspar, which is an SSRI, and then you prescribe hydroxyzine on the same day, right?
They weren't all to be taken at the same time.
What's hydroxyzine?
Hydroxyzine is an antihistamine.
Okay. Is that over the counter, or is that,
Well, she
can you
prescribed
just
it.
buy that over the counter, or do you have to go to the back where the pharmacist is?
You have to go to the pharmacist.
Okay. And as far as you're concerned, she was taking the medications as she was required, right?
That's what I was told.
I'm sorry?
Yes, that's what I was told.
Did you, by her?
Yes.
And did you at any time tell her that she should keep a diary of her medications and keep a diary of any side effects that she has?
I didn't instruct her to do that.
You don't have to instruct somebody to do anything, but did you recommend it? Like say, hey, if you're on all these meds, if you're having an effect, you should write it down. When, time, date, anything like that?
I didn't tell her to do that.
Would that be helpful?
Maybe, but usually we go through all of that in the appointments, and we met very frequently.
Don't take
Now,
notes.
you'd agree with me that at this
Oh,
point,
what good is
prior
that?
to the next appointment, which was November 2nd, she had gotten significantly worse, even after all this medication that you had been prescribing, right? Did you make a note that she was telling you that she had depression and that she was crying, had more anxiety, insomnia had increased, brain fog, and worrying about suicide.
In the couple weeks after starting those medicines, I don't recall that the symptoms were significantly exacerbated.
Okay.
Well, we wouldn't
Friday
know.
afternoon, you answered the DA and you said that you recall that she used the word brain fog, right?
She used that at some point. I don't recall when.
Okay, what is brain fog?
It's a very subjective feeling that someone might have where maybe it's, hard to think of a word that you're trying to think of, or maybe it feels like, maybe you're thinking of things a little bit more slowly than you normally would.
And how often was she dwelling on suicide?
At what point?
At
At the
any
point she told
you
you
never wrote it
that
down.
she had anxiety, insomnia, brain fog, crying inconsolably.
Objection, if we could have a date.
I think he's going to get to that.
In September and January.
October 26th, heading into November 2nd. Do you recall, I'll rephrase it, do you recall going into the November month, meeting with her, and she told you that she had brain fog?
It was mentioned at some point. I
Okay.
don't see that on the 26th specifically.
All right, so let's talk about brain fog. Did you ask her what that meant? Because when you say subjective, that means that's her interpretation. That's in her head. She's telling you, right?
Yes.
As opposed to objective, which would be what people in general would think, right?
Yes.
So when she's telling you, in addition to the anxiety, in addition to the crying, in addition to the stress that she was undergoing, she was worrying about suicide, she talked about brain fog. So you must have asked her, what does that mean? Subjectively, what does that mean?
Subjectively means in the patient's, own opinion, that's what their experience is.
Okay, so she's the one that's inside her head, right?
Yes.
So what were the symptoms? What is it? When a patient tells you that they have brain fog, is that something you would consider as being a potential side effect of the medications that you would put her on?
It depends.
On what?
I mean, sometimes it could be, and sometimes it could be unrelated. It's a symptom of depression as well. So sometimes it's hard to tell what it's attributed to.
So at this point, heading into November, your answer was to prescribe more medication, 3 more drugs, right? You prescribed Ativan, or increased the Ativan. What was her load for Ativan at this point? Do you remember?
Sorry?
What was her milligrams, if that's right, or nanograms, whatever it is, on the Ativan, on the script that you had provided her?
Objection, if we could just have a date.
I think she said, if you can answer that, go ahead.
Which date are we referring to for the Ativan? Because there were I'm sorry.
She already objected. Oh. He already said you can answer it. When did you increase her Ativan and to what level?
So she was prescribed Ativan 0.5 milligrams.
Right.
And then when I next saw her, she said it was a little bit helpful. So I said you could increase it and see if 1 milligram is more helpful.
Did she increase it?
Yes.
And when was the next time you saw her to talk to her on the television or on the computer?
Well, I saw her on the 26th, and then I saw her on the 31st. I'm sorry.
How was she on the 31st? Halloween.
Sorry.
How was she?
That's not my note. That's her therapy note.
Okay. So how about this November 2nd? Was that the next time you saw her?
I saw her on November 2nd.
And she told you that she was hesitant to use the medications, the Buspar and the hydroxyzine, right?
She said she was hesitant to try the Buspar.
She was scared of the drug. She was scared of the drugs, right?
She was afraid to take a medication.
She wasn't doctor shopping and asking you to give her drugs so she could get high. She was asking you for help. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And she was afraid to take the drugs and told you that she was afraid to take the drugs, right?
She told me she was afraid to take the buspirone.
Did you advise her or counsel her or give her therapy about that? Validations?
Yes.
And what did you tell her?
Well, I advised her of, the risks.
What were the risks?
Well, the risks of medicine, like we had said, sedation or dizziness.
Okay. How about interfering with sleep?
Buspirone doesn't usually interfere with sleep.
Not usually. Did you ask her about any thoughts of suicide or being close to having thoughts of suicide?
Yes.
Did she indicate to you that she had any thoughts of suicide at all?
Not at that date.
Did she use those words, or is that a box that you checked off?
I don't remember her exact words, but we talked about suicide or, thoughts of hurting yourself.
Right. And there's a distinction between, in your records and the notation, between suicidal ideation and I quote, worrying about, thinking about suicide. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And what did she mean when she told you, as her doctor, that she was worrying about, thinking about suicide?
You mean in the prior appointment?
I'm talking about a woman that's sitting in front of you on your television or your computer telling you that she was worried about thinking about suicide.
Well, on the second, she didn't say that.
What is
Okay.
you as a doctor, though?
When was the next time that she told you that she was worried about or thinking about or suicidal ideation?
The first time was December 6th.
That was the December 1st visit.
Okay.
Oh.
So go back to the November 2nd visit. Would you agree with me that she, after you talked with her for that period, however long it was, that you then brought up 4 medications to her, recommending that they might be safer, and I quote, safer alternatives? Would you agree with that?
I see the word alternatives, not
Okay.
safer alternatives.
Do you remember talking to her about Remeron?
Yes.
Did you recommend that she take Remeron?
No.
Did you ever prescribe Remeron?
No.
And is that mirtazapine, as far as its generic name?
Yes.
And Remeron is an antidepressant, isn't that right?
Yes.
And you did not feel that that would be an appropriate medication for her to take at that time?
It was a very reasonable option, but we didn't decide to start it.
So is this a collaboration? In other words, you and the patient, you would both make a decision as to when to start a drug? Or is it your decision and advice to the patient?
Well, it's ultimately my decision, but the patient's thoughts about the matter are very important. At the end of the day, the patient has to go home and take it themselves. I'm not there to ensure that is happening or not.
So you had a November 22nd appointment, right?
Yes.
And it was at that time that she told you that she had been to see South Shore Perinatal Clinic, right?
Yes.
And did she tell you why she was seeing someone from the South Shore Perinatal Clinic?
I think she told me that it was because they were exclusively focused on treating perinatal conditions.
Yeah, but so were you, right?
Not exclusively. I'm a general psychiatrist.
I see. And did she mention the name of any doctor or nurse practitioner that she was seeing at the South Shore Perinatal Clinic?
Yes.
Who'd she mention?
I think she said something about Julie.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay. And a woman by the name of Nurse Gelada?
I heard her name a little bit later, but
Okay.
yes.
Did she advise that, in fact, by script she was using Ativan and Benadryl, and you told her to taper off the Ativan at that appointment, right? Had she tapered off the Ativan?
I think I told her to, I gave her a prescribed taper prior to that appointment.
What does that mean? What does that mean? You gave her a prescribed taper?
So I told her that she should reduce her dose by 0.25 milligrams every 2 weeks until the medication was stopped.
Did she do that?
I mean, I don't believe that she completely stopped it, no.
No? You don't believe, or she didn't?
Well,
Trying to give the jury facts.
Yeah, she said she was taking Ativan, so no, she didn't completely stop it.
Had she tapered?
I'm not sure how much she had reduced the dose because I wasn't prescribing it again.
Right.
Ask.
So, did you know that she had been, or had she been, to any emergency wards between that period of time that you last saw her and when you were seeing her on this meeting?
I know she went to the ER, but I think it was after that.
Okay, which ER did she go to? Do you know?
I think she went to Mass General.
Do you know why she went to the ER?
Because of depression.
So, was she treated at the ER? Did they make any, to your knowledge, as her doctor, make any recommendations?
I'm not sure what they told her, but they ultimately
Go ahead.
discharged her. They didn't admit her.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's all right. Was she put on any medication?
Not from the ER.
When you looked at the records from South Shore Perinatal Clinic, what did they indicate about suicidal ideation, worrying about suicide, close to suicide, anything?
I didn't have access to those records.
You're going to keep your voice up so everybody can hear you. You what?
I did not have access to those records
None.
because we're a completely separate clinic.
Seriously?
Objection.
She's visiting with you as a patient and you can't access her medical records? Is what you're telling this jury?
I did not have access to them, no.
Could she have signed a release, a HIPAA form?
Yes, she could have.
And you could have got the records,
Yes.
but you didn't.
I did not feel like it was necessary because she provided all the relevant information about her treatment there.
How do you know? She's got mental disease and she's suing you and she's on all this cocktail of drugs. How do you know that she is an accurate historian at this point in her life?
It felt very accurate when she was able to recall the names of the medicines, doses of the medicines, specific days. She provided a lot of incredibly detailed information. So it showed me she was capable of doing that.
So when you talked to her husband, Pat, how many times did you talk to her husband, Pat?
I think
The guy was living with her.
I think it was once.
And he came to your office, right? No, he didn't. He got on the television or on the computer screen, right?
Yes.
And when was that?
I think it was the December 16th visit.
So let's.
Reddington, before we get to that,
Okay.
probably a good spot to stop. We're going to take the morning recess, and then we'll come right back. Okay?
Court, all right. Juror, please close your notebooks, place them on your chairs. Wait, please.
Oh. It's got some blooping time, but we're still not. Just make sure it's actually playing.
It is.
Okay, perfect.
So I don't know if you were just here when he said this, but and I don't know if this is standard when it comes to psychiatry, but she states that the reason she didn't know Lindsay's medical history beyond what Lindsay told her is because she didn't request her medical history. And she said she didn't request the medical history because Lindsay seemed competent enough to give an accurate depiction of what her medical history was. So I don't know if that is standard, that if you feel like the patient's telling you all you need to know, you just don't request the medical history.
I mean, I think we'll hear from the defense experts what is more standard. I would expect that if you're like following the letter of what is suggested, that it's to get the medical records
Right.
from the other providers.
I would
And
agree.
to your point, at a point where she's having all of these difficulties, should you, just because she seems like she's providing everything to you, should she be? Now, she is a nurse, and she is saying that she, is seems to be recalling everything well. But what I don't get is, I haven't heard of them say, she was still taking this and didn't tell me. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm not sure if it ends up really mattering, like at the end of the day, or not. I saw Bob in the chat.
Well, whether it ended up being relevant or not, or whether she did give an accurate history, it more just goes to show that there were certain precautions that could have happened that didn't happen. So what else happened that we don't know about,
No,
Like
for
I would
real,
I would
for sure.
assume that is a precaution you could take, is you could think my patient could be withholding information from me, so the best course of action would be for me to request their medical history, them sign HIPAA, them let me see their medical history. You would assume that that's a precaution that you could very well take, which Reddington made a point that you can, although it's, maybe an annoyance because you have to go through, she was talking about how it's at a different, through a different process where, again, she has to sign a release to allow the new doctor to see her medical history. But if she was so upfront about it, I think it just goes to show that there were precautions that could have been taken.
Yeah. Or let's go to see what people are asking. Go to the bottom. Just start at the bottom. All right. So Katie is jealous of Bob being in the courtroom, as he is. He is. Thanks for the jewels. We've got Critical Thinker. Thanks for your continued support. Love this host combo. Oh, that's
Thanks.
Luciana DeLima says, as an MD, I'm on Lucy's side, but this cross feels too
Lindsay's.
aggressive. What? Lindsay's. What did I say?
You said her name.
Oh, sorry. But this cross feels too aggressive. Dr. Tufts is cooperative, and some questions seem designed to find mistakes that aren't there. That's interesting that you see it that way. And I, there might have been some questions that I'd agree with that on, but a lot of them. So yeah, no, and we appreciate your perspective.
Yeah. I think overall that it could come off aggressive because I think that Reddington's frustrated not with the witness, but with the misrepresentations from the Commonwealth.
Right. I'd say both, but
yeah, true.
But it's cross-examination, but what matters is how people perceive it, how the jury might be perceiving it. So thanks for that. Sarah B. Creative, thanks for your continued support. Beautiful ladies, thank you for covering this. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. What did Megan think?
I love Reddington, but is he going too hard? So
yeah,
there's a little bit of mixed interpretations of how he's handling the cross.
You and Luciana are seeing the same thing.
Maybe Luciana.
Maybe. Yeah. Thanks for the jewels. So Boris says, Lindsay wasn't referred to her. She selected her. Lindsay came back to her. She wouldn't know what made Lindsay select her over another provider, behavioral health isn't a one size fits all. Finding the provider right for you isn't easy.
I think you're referring to the question where Reddington asked, straightforward, why did Lindsay come to you? And I think he was less referring to why did she pick you over another provider? But I think he was pointing towards Lindsay came to you because she was suffering from postpartum and you identified yourself as someone who has an interest in postpartum. I think
Right.
it's just what he was trying to lay the groundwork for.
Yeah.
But yeah,
to
it's
Boris's point, he did at some point also say, and why did she pick you? Trying to get to that.
right.
So
Yeah.
it was
But
an
it-
awkward question.
Yeah.
T Dubba, member for 30 months. Oh, gee. Thank you for your continued support. So this was back at 8:30. My jaw just hit the ground. There were several points that could have happened. So for sure. More jewels. And who's this?
Maury Piscione
I think that's right.
became a member. So family hugs. Thanks for joining us.
We got some more jewels. Thanks for all the jewels. We greatly appreciate the jewels. Love the jewels. And hopefully you guys love when they flash up on your screen.
I was talking about how I don't actually know what they look like, but I want to see. 'Cause
I've seen them. I've actually seen them when I would if it's because when I leave here, I pop it
Watch
on
on
my
your
phone
phone.
and I'm watching it. Like if I walk downstairs, so I've seen them. Dawn Burke, welcome. Dawn Burke's been a long time supporter. Gifted 10 Defense Diary memberships. Thank you,
Thanks.
Dawn. Got some more jewel action.
The Uncle Alerts.
The Uncle Alerts. And TD claims says, in my opinion, what she did to her kids was the psychotic break. She showed no violence, hatred, or abuse towards her kids. Everyone said she was a great mom. Right. I mean, she didn't have to have signs of psychosis before she had a psychotic break.
Right.
Like it's a lot of what the Commonwealth is focusing on is all these signs of psychosis. Hey, we see them.
Right. It only takes one episode of psychosis.
Right.
Monty Paul says, good luck in school, Cam. Thank you. I start up next month. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's getting close.
Mm-hmm.
Close. All the jewels. All right. Ah, more jewels. Let's see. Where were we?
Has Dad been tweeting during the break? I bet.
Check it out. See what he's got to say for himself. I'm sure he has, and he probably went live. But he can't go live on YouTube because we're live. So, hey, all the jewels. Thanks, guys. All the jewels.
So something Dad said is he made the same point that I was making and that Reddington was making is he says, did you ask Elsie what she meant by brain fog? You said it's subjective. What did she tell you? You had to have asked her what she meant because it's subjective, right? Tufts can't answer these questions because she doesn't know. She doesn't know because she didn't document it. So, and Reddington asked this multiple times because she was saying that brain fog is subjective. I agree. When you're asking someone, brain fog might mean something to her than something to me. But what he was trying to address is what did she say that brain fog meant to her?
Right.
And then she went up, obviously, as my dad was saying, she doesn't know because she didn't take notes about these things. So then she'll cover it up and be like, well, the definition of subjective is da da da, when it's like she knows what he's trying to get at and she's refusing to answer the questions.
Right. And I think that because the point was, as far as she knows, she doesn't even know if she asked. And the assumption here is that she actually never, in fact, asked.
Right.
And I think I would hone those questions a little more. He circles back to them at some point. But if, and you can't, as you sit here today, you don't know if you ever even asked her what she meant by brain fog. And as you sit here today, there's no way for you to know if you ever asked her what specifically was your last suicidal thought. What do you mean you want you're thinking about, you're fearful of thinking about killing yourself. How often do you have these thoughts? We can't tell from your records whether you ever asked her,
Right.
how often do you have these thoughts? Like, boom, 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 boom.
Dad also took note of the question. Reddington says she wasn't doctor shopping trying to get pills to get high. She was trying to get help, right? And Tufts answer is correct.
Right.
So I think that right there broke down a little bit of what the Commonwealth has been trying to say.
Tad says, so what's y'all's take? Aren't we all giving all of our takes?
I mean, from my perspective, and if I was a juror, I feel like my eyes would be open to a lot because, I mean, them admitting the fact that I'm assuming that was the first time that the lawsuit had been brought up was today.
Yeah. That's the first I heard it.
Right. So, I think that's huge because at the end of the day, if I'm sitting as a juror and I'm hearing all she's saying in regards to the direct from the Commonwealth, and then I hear that the results of this case and what comes out of this case can severely affect her personal life, that might make me look sideways at some of the things that it might make clear, like, oh, she's trying to minimize things that shouldn't be minimized. Oh, she's attempting to paint a picture where she did all things properly. I think even as a medical professional, you're still a human, but I don't see much accountability where she could say, yes, I absolutely could have, I could have attempted to find her medical history, things like that, where you can look back, regardless of whether you think you were negligent or not, you can look back and say, yes, I could have done those things, whether or not you personally believe they would have changed the outcome of what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Babe, are you like in the courtroom or in a hall or what's going on right now? Like texting from the courtroom? Because I know when you get like a second, since you can't go live here while we're live, you got to go live on Insta or TikTok. Do it. Make it happen. Make it rain. Show me the money. Does Bob know he can't stream from the courthouse? Oh, maybe that's why. I sent him, I thought I sent him because we're approved media and they sent us the specifics for this trial. And I think I sent it to him. So, babe, if you're listening, Mavhawk says, does Bob know he can't stream from the courthouse? Which is what I was just suggesting that you do. So don't make it rain.
Dad said he loves that Kevin keeps referring to the computer as a television.
It's like, it's too much though. It's so much. I definitely think, thanks for all the trolls, guys. So Optopoppet says, in the medical field, if it's not in the chart, it didn't happen, which is...
I think Reddington said that exact thing.
Right. And like in your everyday life, your friends may joke, if there's not a photo, it didn't happen. So can't prove that shit. Who's this?
Kathy Harris became a member. Family hugs.
Welcome. Welcome. There was something else I was going to say right before that, or that you had said. Oh, somebody says a lawyer got kicked out for streaming in the hallway. Oh no, Bob would never do that. But he would do it out front. Maybe you're not allowed to do it out front either. I don't know. Yeah, he knows better than... Bob doesn't need a link. He can hop on. I don't know that he thinks he's got enough time, especially since he's got to go out of the courthouse and maybe a distance away. So
What's interesting to me is how she's discerning what is or isn't important to document. You know, she'll say, "Oh, the side effects of the Zoloft the first time she took it weren't relevant," but you would assume that if you planned on putting someone on the same medication twice, that you would document the side effects that they had in the first time. So, how she's choosing what's relevant in helping Lindsay Clancy is confusing to me.
So not so zen Jen says, I took Zoloft when I was younger and it was fine. And then I tried it again and had a terrible brain fog. My gyno also upped my Celexa because it helps with hot flashes. So, you know, I mean, that's a whole other thing that you would think a psychiatrist who has a special interest in perimenopause onsets, or however you word it, would know that, you know, our hormones are changing so much right before and right after pregnancy that things have that possibility of affecting you differently, you know? So, I mean, I would assume that would be, you know, part of the process. And then Shally Ostoby. I'm sorry. What, I'm butchering it. As a therapist with a client with these symptoms, I would be documenting in detail everything I could, not only to help the client, but to cover my ass. Yeah.